Before I went on my first safari, a friend of mine told me that it would change my life. And he was right. It did. But what happens when you go on the second safari? My name is Dean, and I'm an amateur naturalist and documentarian based in Florida. And although I'm fairly new to wildlife filmmaking, I started Lake Log in 2020, my journey with photography started in 1975 with a still film camera. I am 63 years old, and you don't need to know that. I'm also a pescatarian, and you don't need to know that either, unless you want to refer to me as a sexagenarian, pescatarian documentarian. My sister-in-law is a librarian. Sorry. In this episode of Lake Log, I return to Zambia and find out that the more I learn, the less I know. And I have a new Zambian name, Nkwazi. So can a first safari change your life? Yes, but it's the second one. That's the one that makes it permanent.
This is Nkwazi, the fish eagle, the national bird of Zambia. I don't have Nkwazi's eyesight, but we do share a slight resemblance in coloration. Whether you're a photographer, naturalist, or adventurer, a Zambian safari is a banquet of sights and sounds set in an open-air classroom. And if you're a lifelong learner, like me, watching the animals that live within these diverse ecosystems is a dream come true. Every day, there is something new. You might see a giant crocodile, the horse-like eyes of a hippo, a baboon taking in the morning sun, zebra, impala, and waterbuck grazing on Jeki Plain, the bleached bones of an elephant, or a real live elephant calmly observing you as it gives itself a dust bath. Or see a pack of wild African dogs hunting impala.
Sierra, dogs, main road, Stakaria area, quickly.
Main road, Stakaria area, Bada, Mondoro.
Dogs, Yimba.
Copy.
There will be some impalas outside.
There was, we passed one.
Nicholas, do you copy?
Thank you, Leon.
Okay, Zoka Kumashura main road.
So should I start coming west, copy?
I can hear your vehicle start coming north, main road, over.
Copy.
From the look of things, you can see that they were blood stained. It's possible that they might have killed. Look there.
Yeah, see him.
Already
He's all
others
red.
gone. Could be some impalas there.
Seems
also.
like they're surrounding, because see that guy.
Yeah, I'm on the main road, actually.
Yeah, so 10 east. Want to zone up to go and motoga.
We followed the dogs for a short while, but then moved ahead of them. Our guide, Moses, was trying to anticipate where they were going next. And he was correct. The pack was headed to the Chiawa riverbed near the Zambezi, followed by a pair of hyenas.
Remember when I said that they could be going to drink water? That's where they are going to.
On the main road, just before the baobab. Alright, copy that. How long do you think it will take to Karange? Not so sure now. Alright, copy that. But
Good job, Moses. They're scary looking.
Although this was my second Zambian safari, the animals I captured with my camera were different to me. I wanted to understand how this world of theirs looked through their eyes. I wanted to know what they were thinking as they looked back at us. My need to learn was choosing the images for me, while I just tried to focus and hold the camera steady. In national parks like the Lower Zambezi and South Luangwa, elephants are an important part of a landscape they help to create. Their daily activities encourage biodiversity. They're often called ecosystem engineers. They create pathways, open the forest canopy, and spread seeds. This big bull was grazing on a winterthorn tree and kept a watchful eye on us at the same time. To elephants, our safari vehicle is a big, blurry thing, and it can make them apprehensive and unsure. This impala stopped to stare at us too. An elephant's vision, as I've learned, is best within a range of about 10 meters, 30 feet or so, and beyond that, what they see is not sharply focused. Does this elephant have an injured foot, or is the raising of one foot a sign of its anxiety? Two days later, we came across the same elephant. It raised that foot again, and Boaz, our Mondoro guide, wondered if it actually did have an injury. We watched it feed again, and this time it was joined by a female and a youngster. On my first safari, I was excited just seeing a wild elephant. This time, I was becoming more and more curious about their behavior. The trunk flip. I had seen this before. This Ellie set down its chew toy to smell the air between us. I begin to notice some recurring behaviors. Leg swing, ear flap, trunk flip. This bachelor group paused to watch us as we watched them. The two on the right leaned against one another. Is this for comfort? A few ear flaps, a trunk swing, leaning. I think it's important to point out that we are watching these elephants from a substantial distance, respecting their space. so as not to stress or upset them. The close proximity of these images is achieved with telephoto lenses, the camera sensor type that I prefer to use in the field, and cropping the image later during editing. We're not that close. And you can't watch an elephant without watching the trunk. It's an arm, a hand, a straw, a nose, or a hose. And sometimes you just have to give it a rest. At Old Mondoro Camp, far away and in the shimmering midday heat, this Ellie enjoys a dust bath. The dust bath protects their skin from insects and from the sun and helps the elephant regulate its body temperature. And they have a lot of skin to take care of. An elephant's skin can weigh as much as 2,000 pounds. These white-fronted bee-eaters are enjoying a dust bath too, for many of the same reasons, although their skin doesn't weigh as much. The mud bath provides similar protections, but also helps the elephant exfoliate and shed parasites as the dried mud falls off. Here's that same Ellie the next day, the one with the beauty mark, caked in mud and feeding on what's known as the scrambled egg bush. Elephants are as much a part of the landscape as the vegetation they feed upon. I watched this one, far off in the shallows of the Zambezi, as it did something I had not seen before. It washed its food. In South Luangwa National Park, over an hour's flight away, we came across an elephant doing the very same thing. And while I did spend some time wondering how much of elephant behavior was innate or learned, I also simply enjoyed the happiness that comes from watching them. The stare. They all do it, especially the Cape buffalo. When we stop to watch them, they watch us. The impala stare, the puku stares, zebra stare. A group of zebra is called a dazzle, and you can see why if you wonder about the reason for their stripes. These are Grant's zebra. The stripes are vertical in the front and horizontal in the back. The stripes on a zebra are as individual as the human fingerprint, and when you consider that the main zebra predators are dichromatic, meaning that they only see 2 colors instead of 3, red being the color that is absent, you can see how they might look to a lion. In the absence of color, they become much harder to see. And they will stare as they stand watch. Unless they're enjoying a scratch, like this one at the Victoria Falls. But stare they will. The giraffe won't stare if it's busy, but it will if you are interesting enough. A group of giraffes is sometimes called a journey, and the camouflage pattern on the giraffe helps them blend in. They almost completely disappear into the trees. They use their thick, prehensile tongues to strip leaves off the tree branches, whether the branches are thorny or not. And giraffe vision is quite advanced among African animals, because their large golf ball-sized eyes are positioned on either side of a narrow head. They possess an almost 360-degree field of view. They also have binocular vision, which gives them great depth perception, and they can see color. Combine that with an almost constant tree-high view, and the giraffe can see trouble from a great distance. In the South Luangwa River Valley, the endemic giraffe is the Thornycroft's giraffe, but there are reportedly fewer than 500 left. Thanks to Disney, Pumbaa is the most used name for the common warthog. A member of the pig family, the warthog can usually be seen grazing or digging while on its knees. The warthog is born with the calluses to do this. Because their eyesight is poor, we appear as a big, blurry, noisy something, but they too will often stop and stare. This warthog decided to run, but returned. It was oblivious to the crowned cranes and Egyptian geese that were taking advantage of its excavations. More staring. Because of the Kariba Dam upriver, the former floodplains of the Lower Zambezi have given rise to a foundation forest of winterthorn trees, a type of acacia, home to the ghosts of the forest, the kudu. This male kudu has mud smeared on its horns. They especially do this during mating season to make themselves look more imposing. Kudu can be shy but have excellent hearing and can remain motionless to avoid detection. A group of kudu is sometimes known as a fork or a shadow. In the South Luangwa, we visited the watering hole and camera hide at Puku Ridge, and as if on cue, this shadow of kudu approached from the tree line to drink. It was clear that the Luangwa was at a low stage and shallow, and hippos and crocodiles were abundant. A group of hippos is sometimes called a bloat. At one point during our safari, I asked the naive question, when do hippos sleep? Watching from the banks of the Luangwa, I got my answer. They pile up in the shallows or on each other and snooze away the morning. Crocs are ever present, and they prefer to prey on the baby hippos rather than the adults. These adults seemed nervous about something, and I knew it wasn't us. We were quite a distance away, high on the river's sandy cliffside. And then we saw it. A baby hippo, doing its best to stay out of sight and close to the adults. A pair of crowned cranes arrived on the bank. Was it the same pair we saw mingling with the warthog or grazing on the floodplain just the day before? As I watched the hippos from high above the river, a lapwing wandered by, showing its halting step, its yellow wattles, and pistachio-colored legs. Down in the river, an open-billed stork snatched a freshwater mussel. And a sacred ibis probed the mud. Dugout canoes waited for paddlers, and smoke drifted from a fisherman's campfire. The birds of Zambia continually amaze me. I love the red-billed hornbill. And the ground hornbill, who strolls more than flies. Perhaps my favorite, other than Nkwasi the fish eagle, is the saddle-billed stork. Most often found near water, the saddle-billed stork is 4 to 5 feet tall and can have a wingspan of almost 9 feet. From the color of their eyes, these are females. The males have brown irises and yellow wattles. I'll have to go back to Africa to capture the lilac-breasted roller in flight. They are fast-moving and elusive, but add a spectacular flash of neon colors to the otherwise earthy tones of the bush. They remind me of our scrub jays, blocky-headed, inquisitive, but cautious. I just know they're smart. I can feel it. I watched this Goliath heron hunt behind our suite at Old Mondoro for some time, and it and many other birds along the Zambezi reminded me of the birds in Florida. Other times, they were completely out of this world. We came across this small rivulet late one afternoon. When wading birds hunt, Nkwasi is usually not far away. The saddle-billed stork was walking and probing for catfish while this gray heron stood and waited. I think the saddlebill was rethinking its method. Farther away, a tense standoff between a fish eagle and a group of marabou. It was unclear whether the fish eagle had stolen the marabou's catch or if it was its own, but the marabou are known to be cantankerous and stubborn, and they're much, much bigger. The marabou, some with neck wattles inflated, work as a team to distract the fish eagle. Nkwasi tries to break away. But leaves with nothing. If you want to find birds, find the water first. Insects thrive around water, and birds like the bee-eater thrive around insects. There are close to 20 different species of bee-eater in Africa. I love to see them. This white-fronted bee-eater appeared next to our suite at Chichele Presidential in the South Luangwa National Park. It moves its head rapidly as it scans the air around it for flying insects. They have excellent vision so that they can swiftly chase and catch an insect in mid-flight. It's quite a show, but once they catch the insect, the bee-eater will slam the insect against the branch to stun it, or rub it against the branch to remove the stinger before swallowing. If the insect is larger, like this dragonfly, the bee eater will try to remove any barbs that might make swallowing difficult, and then orient the insect head first so it goes down easier. Just watch. After a quick beak scrub, it's off. Wherever there are ungulates, hoofed animals, you will find the oxpecker. If you've been looking closely, you've probably seen quite a few so far. The oxpecker hitches a ride on the animal, like this Cape buffalo, and picks off the insects that feed on the animal, like ticks. But if the ticks are hard to find, the oxpecker can turn carnivorous and might even peck and eat the flesh of their hoofed host. The more I learn, the less I seem to know. A safari is like a scavenger hunt in a huge, living library. There is something to see and learn around every corner. Different ecosystems to explore, different behaviors to study.
Confirm bottom Maramara or maybe opposite Folly Village.
Our Chiawa camp guide, Moses, believed that this lion was signaling to the rest of the pride, only a short drive away and resting in the shade with some young cubs. Lions seem to be the least concerned with the presence of safari vehicles and the sound of clicking cameras than most of the other animals we encountered. Either that, or they were too full and too tired to bother with us. Late one afternoon, as evening fell near old Mondoro camp, we spent time with another pride as they rested. They didn't seem to care that we were there either. The hyena is neither dog nor cat, but has characteristics of both, and they are a unique species unto themselves. After getting some close-ups of this hyena, we moved off and decided to let the sleeping dog-cat lie. The next day in the South Luangwa, a large pride of lions, again resting in the shade, not concerned by us at all.
That's a cute little one. What can I say? Oh yeah, their bellies are full, man.
Safari is not always this easy for photographers. Sometimes you cover a lot of ground and see very little. Or you do get a shot, but the leopard's face is obscured, or there's a tree in the way. Or right after breakfast, you come across a leopard named the Pirate and you don't have your camera ready and your wife gets a shot with her phone and you feel like an idiot. Or you're just on the wrong side of the tree. But then you get really lucky and you spend some time with a young leopard with a full belly in a tree right over your head. Or maybe the next day you are watching some helmeted guinea fowl and looking in the wrong direction when a leopard comes out of the grass and walks right past you. It crossed behind the vehicle, went up into a nearby tree, struck a pose, and then effortlessly went up to a high branch to have a rest.
Zoom out a bit.
Night drives under the sweeping arcs of the red lights are probably the most thrilling parts of a Chiawa safari. Most mammals are dichromatic and do not see the red light at all. Although they are aware of our presence, they aren't blinded by white spotlights and will tend to behave normally. We came across 3 lions separated by water, with the younger one on a small island and the other 2 calling for it to cross over. Eventually, it did, and they wandered off together into the darkness. It is possible to restore color to a photo made under red spotlights, like this aardvark, but I preferred monochromatic versions. A hyena and some nervous impala, a kudu bull with a calf, a dickhop defiantly standing in the road, a scrub hare doing the same, Varro's eagle owl. And then we saw this leopard stalking some impala. In the Luangwa Valley, some Cape buffalo, and a tower of giraffes under the stars. Safari will change you. It can be immersive and authentic, luxurious and personal. You'll be entertained and educated about all living things, great and small. You certainly won't go hungry. You might barely sleep. And you'll never be bored.
These are the things that make the safari experience so unique. I certainly hope that one day you get to go on safari too, if you haven't done so already, and I appreciate you coming along on mine.